Shwmai a croeso cynnes, and welcome to the What's Your Story podcast. I'm James Owen, a Welsh filmmaker and storyteller, and I'm passionate about sharing stories. This podcast is all about business owners sharing their journey, and we'll be speaking with directors, entrepreneurs and creatives from all across Wales to learn from their experiences. We believe everyone has a story to tell. What's your story? Shwmai a croeso cynnes, the What's Your Story, and we've got another exciting guest on the podcast here today. I've seen him both on the field and off the field, and we'll talk a little bit later about his interests outside of the world of business. But today in the studio we've got a business owner and a self-professed social media geek. We have Alun Jones here on the podcast. Diolch, Alun, am dod.
Diolch am croeso, thanks for the welcome. Looking forward to this.
Looking forward to this. What can happen? I've definitely got a few rugby stories in here. We will slip those into the podcast later. But Alun, great to have you down. You run your own agency along with a great business partner, Libera Agency. That's what you're more known for. There's lots of other hats you wear, of course. But I'd love you to tell our audience on What's Your Story today in a couple of sentences, what is Libera Agency?
Yeah, so Libera is a media marketing company. We started it in 2023, and what we do essentially is we create content. We deal with paid ads, so we run paid ads on social media, on Google, on all kinds of platforms, and then we do strategy and training as well in social media, digital marketing, that sort of thing. And as part of that, and I'm sure we'll talk about a bit about this later on. As part of that, we also run a conference as well called Social Media Conference Cymru.
Yes, it's a fantastic conference that I've been to 2 out of 3. I missed the first one. I think I was busy on the first day in the Principality. But Alun, you've got a huge background in around marketing and social media. As you said, you're a self-professed geek in the world of social media. What is it for you that growing up, you sort of fell in love with work? Because you've got to work in social media, you've got to enjoy it and like it to succeed in that industry.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I'm your average sort of like social media lover, content creator, creative person that loves watching all sorts of silly content on social media. I don't think I'm that person. What I am is, you said social media geek. Yes, I think I probably am really. I love the data side of it, and the numbers, and I'm more operationally focused. And how do you make this happen? How do and we get again, we'll get into this, but how do you make a live stream happen on social media with a professional setup with the live stream? How do you do that? And getting pictures and sound from A to B and that sort of thing, and dealing with the things that people will find utterly miserable and boring. So like things like copyright and things like that. I really love that sort of thing, So how do you fall in love with it? Yeah, good question. I think I fell into it much by accident, actually. It's I am 33, so growing up, it's very much been, if you're growing up now, if you're in your teens now, then you won't know any different. But I think, you go back to when I was in school and growing up, the smartphones became a thing, right? Yeah. So when smartphones became a thing, I remember having a Windows phone, and then things developed into Android, and then you get an iPhone.
Back then, social media platforms were like, when I was a kid, Bebo, MSN messaging.
Exactly that. And I always thought the latest technology, absolutely. And as you say, you're talking about things like Bebo, MySpace, and all that sort of thing. I was on all of them, of course, as you probably were, and then Facebook when it started, and then it went on. But I think you sort of fall naturally into that. But I think from a work perspective, I think this is where a lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people think, well, I'm on social media, I can do it as a job. There's a lot more to it than that. So I think from a work perspective, I started sort of taking an interest in social media voluntarily, actually, with a few local groups and doing it that way. And then slowly it became part of jobs. So, you do this job, which is doing a little bit of everything, in good organisations like Mentor Iaith and Urdd and that sort of place where you're expected to do a bit of everything as part of your job, and marketing is one part of that. And in your early 20s, which I was at the time, social media, marketing together, that was it. And you had to do it. And then one thing led to another, and fell into a job. I applied for a job which was a bit around web design and social media as well. But then, as things develop, then it becomes
the job role changed.
Exactly. So more and more focus on social media. So
was that in Tinopolis?
It was, yeah. So
because that's where I first met you on the field. But I did work experience for a couple of days when I was studying in Coleg Cigar doing my creative media production course, and I got to chat with you. And he was showing me what you were up to back then when you were working in Tinopolis.
Yeah, that's right. So I worked there for 2 or 3 years, I think, as primarily looking after the social media accounts of Heno, which is a Welsh daily television programme, Pnawn Da as well, and working a bit with Rallio and with SLC's weather accounts, which were run by Tinopolis as well. So working on the social media strategy and content for those accounts, but also producing short form video for Hansh as well for Esperorec. So yeah, that's where I really got into social media as this is actually a viable job and a career.
And for you as someone who's a numbers and data guy, early on in your career, then you're working in Tinopolis, covering all these social media channels. What did the data tell you? What were some of the things you were looking at the data that would inform you to maybe make better content? Let's say.
Yeah, I think data is at the center of, or should be at the center of every sort of feedback loop in social media. To be honest, the data will feed everything, or should feed everything, to be honest. And it's I was obsessed with the 1%, obsessed with the how do we make this better? How we've got 5 days left of the month and we need 500,000 views to reach a record where we haven't been before. How do we do that? And then the data would inform, right, this is the content that's working, this is who we're reaching, and this is the successful stuff. This is the not so successful stuff. So actually, we do more of this, and that would lead to growth. And the growth was, quite significant, I'd say. That's with the caveat of there was growth to be had. It was probably a fairly low base, because I think that's when social media was becoming more and more popular. But you've still got to be there to make the most of the opportunity, haven't you? So
great, and that progressed into and if you look back at the content that you were making on social media back then, 7-8 years ago, that would look very different to what's out there today, wouldn't it? Different platforms and
I think what we were making last month would probably look different to what we're making today. That's how quick industry changes. Yeah,
that's crazy. So you went on to work at Esperorec. And that's where you sort of progressed in your career in social media. You were then leading a team up there, and tell me a bit about your experience and what you learned in that period.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to be social media manager at SOC when they moved from Cardiff to Carmarthen. And there were 2 of us working on social media at Esperorec to start with, and that. I think the broadcaster saw the opportunity and the massive potential in social media. So I think what happened then was heavy investment in social media resource and the team. So I was lucky enough to lead that team and build it from 2 people to 7 over the space of 4.5 years. We were looking after everything from from strategy to data and everything in between. So that would be, looking after, data analysis, lives and troubleshooting live sport broadcasts. And we had about 120 odd social media accounts, about 20% of which were run internally, and then 80% of them were run by independent production companies in the independent production sector across Wales. So there was a job to do to share best practice, to train these people who are working on this sort of stuff every day. So we were involved with that, and then additionally paid ads and the development and stuff of paid ads and how they came about for the broadcasters. So yeah, it was very, very wide ranging, a lot of work, but very, very rewarding, really enjoyable, to be honest.
And what point was it in that part of your life where you decided to set up your own business? Because you could still be in SOC. You left SOC to go and start Libera. So what was it for you that enticed you to make the leap to actually start your own business?
Yeah, so I think from a fairly young age, I always saw myself starting a business and running a business. Didn't really know what that business would be, mind, but I think that's a different story, isn't it? But I think over time, you have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people, and I think what I saw with Alun, who's the co-founder at Libera as well, with me, is opportunities for freelance work across Wales, and that was increasing, and I think there was a real gap. So I think one conversation led to another, and it was like, well, actually, there might be an opportunity here, because if that many people are looking for freelancers in social media, digital content, then there might be an opportunity to do something a bit different here, and I think that's what led to it, really.
And it sounds like the work you were doing in SOC in particular, obviously Tinopolis previously, but you were picking up those skills that you've now brought into a commercial offering that service clients in Libera.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So you got it and did this, and I think, how long have you been going now, Libera agency?
So we're on 2.5 years. 3 years in February, March time, I think. Yeah, 3 years in March. Wow. So yeah.
Because I think I remember you early on in your Inception, maybe even starting before you started the business. I think we might have had a coffee, something in a Reagan. You were telling me about this idea, making the jump. But yeah, it's exciting, and it's great that you've started it with Alun, because she's clearly just as passionate as you are to go on and pursue this career.
So I think what we've got is something that's our skills and experiences complement each other. So Ellen's got a background in marketing, a master's in digital marketing as well. My background is very much content and maybe more broadcasting and TV. But I think if you bring those two things together, broadcasters are always going to need promotion. TV programs are always going to need promotion. It's a different conversation entirely about what happens to TV in the future, of course. But I think there's always going to be the need for promotion. So how do you bring those two things together? And I think that's what we've got, and that's what we realized actually. Yeah, when you bring together the media, the content, and the marketing, and the paid ads experience as well, and all those things come together, it actually becomes quite an unique offering, to be honest.
Because television is totally different to digital content. You can obviously see over the years that Esperarec are trying, with Hansh as an example of that, trying to tap into that market, because learned through this year's Social Media Conference Cymru, the ratings of television have come down so much, and YouTube as an entity and as a platform has skyrocketed. I'm a big consumer of YouTube. I love YouTube, and I love some of the content I watch. It's just so different. I could be watching, one guy building a DIY shed, and then the next I'm following somebody else that I'm a loyal fan base of. But YouTube has just got such a huge opportunity to really capture a growing audience, and especially of young people. Television still is there, but television has to change to adapt where society is taking it. But it's great to see that you've saw that crossover. Broadcast needs digital to survive and promote itself, and you've got some of that skill set to help that industry.
Yeah, look, I don't think linear television is disappearing anytime soon. That's the first thing. But what is happening, and we can't ignore this in this industry, what is happening is the linear viewership is decreasing and digital viewership is increasing.
And that's fact, isn't it?
That is happening, and it's been happening for several years now. It scares a lot of people. It does. It genuinely scares a lot of people, but it is happening. So I think, you can't ignore that. As you said, YouTube is a massive opportunity. For instance, you can think global, and you can get. I mean, gosh, you going back to what I said earlier about younger people growing up these days in social media second nature, right? In the same way, younger people growing up today, some of them wouldn't even know what an EPG is, an electronic program guide, pressing the TV guide button on the TV. That's wild to me. That's wild. But actually, that's the world that we're living in, and you've got to, as content producers, whatever you're producing content about, whether that's that you're a broadcaster, or whether that's that you're a brand, you've got to be where the people are. You've got to be where your consumers are, and you've got to find them, because they're not going to come to you anymore. That shop window has moved. That shop window now is social media, isn't it? Rather than being the TV guide as it was before, right? So I think things are changing.
And do you see broadcasters are actually trying to tap into the opportunities of YouTube as a growing platform?
100%. There's Esperec launched their new strategy recently, and there's a big focus on YouTube. Rightly so as well. Yeah. It's not something you can ignore anymore. Where are these young people? If these young people are not watching linear TV, where are they? They're watching TikTok. They're watching YouTube. What are they doing? So that's where they're consuming the content. So broadcasters have got to be there, and I think that they are. I mean, a really good example of this is Channel 4.0 on YouTube. Loads and loads.
Is
of
that
really,
Channel 4 as a broadcaster?
Yeah, exactly. But it's their sort of strand for younger people.
Or did I miss a rebrand? They're still Channel 4, but they're 4.0. Well, that's good branding.
It's actually Channel 4.0. Yeah.
4.0, okay, great. So before we get on to more about broadcast and marketing, in your spare time, you're out on the field as a referee in Rugby Union. And I tell you the story because I had met Alan. The first time I'd ever met Alan was on the rugby field. I got to meet you later in a work capacity in Tinopolis, because I remember meeting you in Tinopolis thinking, oh, you've refereed me before. That's interesting. I can't remember what game it is. I've told you the story before, but you were refereeing. So I used to play for Furness United. It's my local team. And I can't remember who we were playing. We were playing a home game. And of course, at the start of the game, the referee comes to chat to the team and do your spiel, your script. And all of a sudden then, the referee comes over. We're in a team huddle. All right, boys, I'm the referee today. And I thought, oh, it's Alan. Alan's referee today. Great, okay. And, you were there in the team huddle, and it was like, Shwai Alan, all right, James? You did your spiel, you walked off. And the boys are like, oh, how do you know him, man? It's like, oh, I know Alan. And I just had this cheeky smile and smirk. That game, you give me a yellow card. That was definitely motivated, because I was telling the boys, hey, we got a referee on our side here today. But how wrong was I? Thankfully, it was only a yellow. I can't even remember what the infringement was.
Gosh, no. It was quite a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. That would have been, must have been about 7-8 years ago. But yeah, that's something you do for fun. You love rugby, big Scarlets fan. is that something that is important to you to help switch off from work, to do something on the weekends?
I think it gives you an entirely different focus. I think in social media, you and marketing in general, you read a lot about people burning out. And what refereeing does for me is it forces me to focus on something completely different. I mean, people will think I'm mad. It's not relaxing at all. It's not. But what it is it's an entirely different focus. Quite often in high pressure situations, in environments. But I enjoy it. It's in a weird kind of way. But also it makes me switch off from. It makes me put my phone away for a few hours. And that's good. That's good. And driving to games, maybe half an hour and a half away or whatever, and then the hour before the game, and then the 2 hours during the game, half an hour after the game, driving home. It's a completely different focus, and I think that's a really healthy thing.
That's good, and if you can thrive in making high pressure decisions on the field, that's actually going to sharpen your skills as a business owner and a decision maker working in marketing. So that's probably helped you be better at what you do in the world of business, for sure.
Again, people laugh when I tell them this, but honestly, the people skills, because you meet so many people. I've refereed for 17, 18 years, probably in excess of 1,500 games. So you meet so many people, once or twice a week during the season, every week basically, and these are people from all different walks of life. And you learn how to talk to them, how to manage them, how to get a rapport, and you've got to do that quickly. So I think, 100%, you learn people skills, and it does help you, 100%.
What's been your highlight as a referee for 17 years?
Oh gosh, lucky enough to have officiated a few times at the Principality Stadium, which has been amazing, running the line there for various cup finals and stuff like that, and maybe in the middle one day, hopefully. But it's been great. But I referee at the moment at Division 1 mainly, which is it's a pretty good standard in Wales in terms of where the amateur side of the game, which is great for me. It's it lets me have that balance between work and rugby as well. So, really enjoy it.
Biggest challenge you faced refereeing?
Oh gosh, biggest challenge.
Or maybe have you ever been hit on the pitch?
No, I think people are generally more sensible than that.
What is it about rugby, right? We had Craig come on the podcast, and we had a great conversation around, some of the things on a more higher profile referee experiences. Abuse online, you lost us the game, and he's had death threats. It's unbelievable. But there's something, that's in extreme examples. But generally, I think the behaviour of rugby players towards the refereeing, there is this respect. If you compare that to football, some of the ways that professional footballers treat referees on the pitch is disgusting, mate. But there's something about rugby that there's that general respect there.
Yeah, 100%. I think at the professional end of the game, there is 100% the respect. As you come down the levels, probably not to the same level, if we're being completely honest. And I think probably during the last few years as well, it's things have changed. I think society's changed as well. So there's different challenges, but again, it's how you deal with those, isn't it? As a referee, and I don't profess to be the best referee ever. I don't think any referee is going to get 100% of the decisions right 100% of the time either. But I think there's a respect there that. And an understanding there that you're not going to do that, and you're one person on the pitch. And I think in the community game at the community level, then I think the thing is, there's an understanding that this is not like a full-time job. This is something that we do on Saturdays for, in reality, very little incentive as well. So, yeah.
That's good. It's good that, you've got something that you enjoy, and it takes your mind and your focus off, because working in social media is tough because you're constantly on your phone or you're constantly looking at a laptop, looking at the numbers, the data, and the more we can switch off from our screens, the better we can rest. So, and it's a fast-paced environment, and on that ground of working in a fast-paced environment, that is social media, as you've said earlier. What was last month's content is now out of date. Things like that blow my mind, to be honest. But a big part of you and Libera and your experience working in marketing is training yourself, training other people, the teams you've managed. That's a big part, and a big part of training is learning from other people. You and Ellen saw a bit of a gap. You want to upskill yourselves as owners of the business. You were going away to conferences, mainly outside of Wales, and you wanted to bring something different to Wales, which Social Media Conference Cymru now exists, but before that inception, that idea, there was nothing like it in Wales. So, why did you start Social Media Conference Cymru?
Yeah, good question. And this was the thing. I think it was the first
nobody
day.
pays you to do that.
No, nobody. To be completely transparent, it's a commercial venture. We operate without public grants in the main to do that. But I think on the first day that we were starting Libera, it was literally the first day. We were sitting down together and we were like, right, what are these? Where are these opportunities to go and be seen at conferences and learn some new things? What's out there. So we started having a look, and I've said this before online and stuff, but we started Libera with 800 quid each. That's what we put into the account. That's it. That's what we started with, and we knew that was going to cover, I don't know, not very much.
An email account.
Let's be fair. So, but that's what we started with. So, we were like, right, where can we go? What can we do? And
both of you were working in SOC at the time. You literally quit your jobs to go and sell.
Yeah, definitely. Cliff edge,
I didn't realise. I thought you had thousands of pounds of savings to invest in the company. 800 quid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. So, but we started there. That's where we started. So, we were looking at opportunities. We were looking at conferences. Oh, there's this conference. There's this conference. There's a conference in London. There's a conference in Manchester. There's a conference in Birmingham. There's a conference in it could be Paris, Geneva, whatever. And we'd kind of been to some of these conferences over the years in different roles and stuff, and been lucky enough to have employers that would support professional development in that way. But it's different when you're paying yourself, isn't it? It's really different. So then you look at the ticket price. It's hundreds. Maybe we saw conferences in London and outside of Wales that were £600, £800 each for a ticket.
Wow.
And then you add on the trains, famously expensive to get to London on a train from Wales, and then you add on a hotel in London, and then you add on lunch. Supper, whatever you need when you're there, right? And then all of a sudden, this one conference becomes a really, really big sort of expense, 4-figure expense, and then we were like, well, actually, nothing like this exists in Wales. So we were like, right, shall we try it? So should we try something? And we agreed on the first day that let's go for it. Let's try something. So we booked a room at the Principality Stadium for the first Social Media Conference Cymru for 50 people. We were like, right, we're going to take a risk. Might lose a bit of money on this, but we're gonna book a room for 50 people and see what happens.
Bear in mind, you just started your business.
Yeah, exactly. We were doing other client work on. Obviously side by side with it, of course, but we were
gotta pay yourself a wage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so 50 people.
50 people we booked for. 6 weeks we sold 270 tickets, sold out. That was the maximum we could have in the room. So
how the hell did you sell all these tickets? Through your network?
But doesn't that in itself prove that there's
The need
in Wales
100%.
for this kind of conference, right? So very, very bootstrapped conference. Let's be fair. But yeah, we put together a really exciting agenda. Tapping into networks that we already had, tapping into people who were doing really good things on social media at the time. I think we had FAW there, Welsh Government there, Espadorec there, AU Vodka there in the first year as well. So, bringing together these people who are doing really good stuff in social media, and yeah, 270 people bought tickets in 6 weeks, and we were like, it's absolutely blown away, to be honest. But that proved the concept. That was the thing we needed, really, to think actually there's something in this, and people don't get the opportunity to go to London because you can't afford it. So I think part of why this exists is, it is cheaper, and it still is cheaper than pretty much every other conference like it. But also it's now the biggest social media conference in the UK in terms of attendees.
Wow.
So, and that's not happened, but that's not happened sort of by chance. That's because we put something together that is, genuinely good.
Giving people a reason to actually pay for a ticket and go to the conference.
Yeah, 100%. And, we had people this year we just had the conference in September, and, we had people this year from Poland, from London, from, a guy flew in from New York for it. So it's starting to get a name for itself. And how do we build on that? That's the challenge.
Incredible. You had somebody fly from New York.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Well, great. It goes to show there's a need, and you fill in the need, and every year it's been different, and it's grown. So to see it in this third year.
Yeah, it has grown, and it's now at 380 attendees, I think we had this year. So, but like, yes, part of the reason is giving people in Wales an opportunity to go to an industry event like this. But part of the reason this exists also is to give people talent from Wales a voice as well, because in all the conferences that I've ever been to across the UK and further afield, very, very rarely do you see somebody from Wales on the stage. Now and again, maybe, but very rarely. And there's a thriving, as you know, there's a thriving creative sector in Wales.
Yeah, massively.
And a lot of people are doing a lot of good things and not having the opportunity to shout about that. So what we try to do with the agenda every year is we try to blend giving Welsh talent a voice with bringing in people who are doing, fantastic things for outside Wales as well.
Yeah, so, of course. Yeah, it's a good mix because, a large majority of those who are sharing on the panels and speaking, they're Welsh business owners, they're Welsh people working in industry, but also you're giving insight and value from those who are industry experts who come in. So, you've had people from TikTok and the LinkedIn guru, he was awesome this year, blown my socks off. But, getting talent in. And that talent isn't something, you're not asking people for a freebie here. You're actually paying them for the value that they bring to deliver as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's, you've got to, particularly with freelancers, there's an element of time that goes into preparing presentations and bringing the value to the table. I think, with brands and freelancers, everybody's different, but there's, particularly with somebody like you say like the M guru and stuff. That's his job, isn't it? And he spoke so well.
Brilliant.
But that's his job. Is he trains people on LinkedIn? But yeah, you've got to. Yeah, it's not a. This thing as a whole costs a lot of money to put on, and I think in Wales we're can I say I think we're guilty in Wales of expecting a lot for nothing.
Yes, that does happen.
Yeah.
Grant funding.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of businesses rely on funding. It's great. It's great we've got that.
Yeah.
It should be able to help us to grow. But But yeah, I was having this challenge, because I'm speaking frankly on here, I'm looking into maybe putting on some workshops. And it's great you can have workshops that, if you go on Eventbrite, there'll be something on there for free, which is funded by SPF or something else. But I was thinking, just to share some of that knowledge, I was thinking, we could put on a series of workshops. I've got a lot of experience in filmmaking, in both photography, content creation, storyboarding, all these skills. I want to try and share, and I'm thinking about it, commercializing it, right? Cash flow is a big challenge in our business. We work with some big clients. It takes forever for some of them to pay us. So you've got a cash flow issue in the business. You've got staff to pay, rent to pay, and all these things take over. So for me, I'm looking at, how can we diversify as a company and increase our cash flow? Workshops and training, that's something we're trying to look into. But I'm thinking, would a small business pay 50 quid to come on a course? I don't know, because there's already things out there that are free, right? Because I think the mindset is a lot of the times in Wales, we want something for free.
Yeah, 100%. I think we both Ellen and I have spoken a little bit about this publicly on LinkedIn, and I think it's healthy to speak about it actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the costs. There are things you wouldn't imagine.
I'm guessing you probably had a challenge on the ticket prices. Oh, it's expensive.
100%.
But when you compare that against what you're competing against outside of Wales, it's incredibly affordable.
Significantly cheaper than other similar events. And that's not taking anything away from the similar events. We've been to a lot of them. They are brilliant.
Yeah.
They are brilliant. Genuinely excellent events. But, I think in London there's I say London as a bit of a throwaway, but in London there's an acceptance that these things cost a lot of money, right? In Wales, maybe not so much. So, but there are so many costs you wouldn't even think of. It's just everything is a cost. There's a venue cost. There's costs for your AV. So we had a massive LED video wall this year, all that stuff costs. It did. Yeah, all that stuff costs. So we try and do selling tickets costs money. With card processing fees, all that stuff costs money. It's we try and do a little bit of getting the community involved in what they want. We did that through an ideas forum this past year. We weren't expecting people to give their time for free for that. We were paying them for that time. So that costs money. There's so many hidden costs that add up to make this thing cost a lot of money. And let's not forget either the time. The time that goes into it.
Absolutely. But Social Media Conference Cymru, it's a fantastic event. I've enjoyed it. Both years we've been there, and proud to say we sponsor the events.
Yeah, and can I say, it's been great to have you on board as well. Diolch, thank you to Stori Cymru for being ready to jump in that take that opportunity really to to provide us content for social media. It's a big part of the day. So what we'll be doing over the next few months is we'll be sharing highlights from all the speakers, and that's thanks to your team for filming them on the day.
Thank you. I didn't pay any money to say that, but no, it's kind of you to share that. But yeah, for us, and I know what it's like when you're organising something, running an event, right? You and Alun, you haven't got time while you're up on stage welcoming people to go and film things. So it's a pleasure for us to be part of that, and I hope that we can continue this partnership, because I'd love to see it grow and get bigger and better. I'm sure it will. Have you got a date for next year?
No. We're only just getting on this year.
Advertise on the podcast. Come next year. It'll be somewhere in Wales in 2026.
Yeah, probably be towards the end of September. But yeah, we've got a waiting list though. We've got a waiting list. Socialmediaconference.cymru. Get yourself on the waiting list.
Get on the waiting list.
Yeah.
And for those who are listening, could you give some? You're a social media geek. Are there any top tips you can give to somebody who is maybe running their own Instagram page, wants to try and grow their presence online? Any top tips you give for social media?
I think the main thing is when you asked me this just before the pod, and I couldn't answer you, to be honest, because there's so many things that go into this. But I think one of the main things is, I'd say, I'd say you concentrate on what you know, and well, there's two things I want to share here. So one thing would be concentrate on you don't have to be on every platform. If you're reaching people on Instagram, they're reaching the right people on Instagram, go for it, and just focus on doing one platform well rather than 5 platforms average. I'd say that's
good tip.
That's the first thing, and probably the second thing is when somebody asks you your target audience, don't say everybody, because it's not, is it? You need to hone in on who actually your target audience is, and when you've got a focused target audience, I think when you start measuring all your content and against that goal of reaching this audience, you'll become more self-critical of your content. And you say, actually, is this actually doing the job of reaching the people that I want to reach?
Mm.
So I think those are the two things: is do less platforms well, and actually know and define who your target audience is.
Excellent insight, Alun. And that's why people pay you the big bucks to give them advice in marketing. And if you could listen to anyone's story, somebody who's influenced you, inspired you, on the field, off the field, we haven't had Nigel Owens yet. But if there's anyone you could listen to their story, whose story would you love to hear, Alun? Oh,
great question. You mentioned earlier that I'm a Scarlets fan as well. I think growing up, I think one of the things I took big pleasure in growing up was watching the Scarlets in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I think it would have to be Gareth Jenkins. I could listen to him all day.
Gareth Jenkins?
Yeah, I'd pay big money to listen to that pod.
Well, we'll see if we can get him on. Gareth Jenkins. Brilliant. Alun, thanks so much for coming on. And it's great to see, in your business journey, all the things you're doing. You've it's taken us 7 years to find the right team, and you've got an amazing team behind you as you're growing. But to see what you've done in less than 3 years is unbelievable. So Dion-ET Ireland, you're doing fantastic things. And the conference, honestly, if you're working in marketing or you want to connect with people working in marketing, it is the place to go. Right here in Wales. So next year, you can go and find your tickets online at Social Media Conference Cymru. But if people want to know more about you and Libera, and perhaps you can help them in their business, where can they find you?
Yeah, again, good question. We're on 2 platforms. We're not on every platform. We're on 2 platforms. Going back to what I was saying about doing less platforms as well. So we're on LinkedIn and Instagram. We're on social media, SMC Cymru on Instagram. Also Libera Studio on Instagram. And also Social Media Conference Cymru and Libera Studio on LinkedIn. But also personal pages.
So you're not on Facebook, you?
No.
We tried to tag you on Facebook the other day, and it's like,
that's why you
I
couldn't.
Can't find him. Yeah. Any reasons behind that?
I think our audience is probably more on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Good question.
Simple answer.
Great. Diolch yn am dod, and thank you for sharing your story here today and what's your story, and excited to hear and see the progress for you and Ellen for years to come.
Diolch yn fawr, thanks for the invitation, really enjoyed it.